But he knew. Well, what an interesting plot line for a pandemic. So we got rid of the curse, obviously. How did that happen? He could not have been. I'm surprised he didn't just bolt.
Well, it was basically him in his room and like 6 of us. So he kind of really didn't have a choice, and he kind of did the Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings and tried to hunker in a corner, and
Uh,
I forget what all happened, but basically we got the item from him, and
but it wasn't voluntary.
No, not at all.
No,
Okay.
no, it wasn't.
Huh. Well,
And
that's
once we removed it from him, he became much, much older. Like, instead of being in his 20s, he's now in his 50s or 60s.
wow. That's nearly dead.
Yeah. It's right there next to it.
Yep, right there next to it.
He's old enough to make an adventuring career problematic. Let's put
Oh,
it
yeah.
like that. He's
Well,
not
I don't know.
decrepit.
I'm
He's not
57.
like
I'm still diving.
90. Yeah, but are you diving and fighting a kraken?
or are you trying to purposely dive in shark-infested waters?
No. No. Okay. So, is he still on the boat?
Yeah.
Yes.
But he's now 50-something, and that amulet is where?
They destroyed it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, he
So-
did have other magic items, which I will throw out there, Golwyn wants to take. I feel that is... I told him that that's not even honest thievery, that's thuggery. But
Oh, man.
I do think
Golan-
we kept the scraps
There's a
of
reason
the
we
amulet.
call him a klepto paladin. What did we keep, Adam?
Oh, we kept the scraps of the amulet, which is probably worth a couple gold.
Okay.
I believe it was an armband, and it was...
Armband, yeah.
So
It
is
was-
he...
Hang on, because it was the armband. I took it just to make sure that it never gets used again, tied it to something heavy, and threw it out in the middle of the river.
Oh.
Okay. So it's now at the bottom of the river, never to be found again. And
Yeah.
it was broken anyway.
yeah, because that worked on the One Ring.
Yeah, we're pretty sure whatever, I forget what we did, we got rid of the curse that was on it.
So is he now like our sworn enemy and plotting against us, or is he in the brig under guard, or what?
Yeah, he's kind of under guard.
Denny's confined him to quarters, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I assume that everybody else on the boat is not terribly happy with him either.
Yeah, they're not thrilled.
What, if anything, happened with Prandwas?
We made nice.
What have we actually offered or given him?
Haven't given him anything yet. Told him we'd square him up. So we'll find out from what's her name what exactly she needs to not be threatening his life.
Okay. So that
we'll
could
try to
potentially,
negotiate there.
the upper limit would be 7 soul stones for him to be out of her debt. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And now we're just slowly motoring upriver.
Yep.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Okay. Panther on the upper deck.
Alrighty, you guys have... Let's look at the big map. I keep forgetting that I have to actually drag your little flag thing over there so that you can see it.
Jimmy, I did have one question for you, though. Something I was thinking
Yep.
about when we're talking about recharging the wands. The wand of locate was for locating soul stones, not just locate. Is that
Correct.
something that I'd be able to recharge? Because I do have the locate spell, but not something that specific.
Yeah, you can recharge it using the locate spell.
Okay.
Wow, we have gotten next to nowhere.
Well,
This is
We're
a
only like
slow boat
3
to
days from Stump.
Polis. Yeah.
Keep in mind, we stopped once all this shit was happening, so we're still only like 3 days from Stump.
Okay.
so the next couple of days pass uneventfully until you get up here. Are you scouting ahead at all, or flying around to see what's coming? I mean, the boat.
No, I did not say I was. So I've got the senses of a panther, including scent, and I think it's a +4 bonus to perception. But I'm just setting up, generally hanging out on the upper deck of the boat, not actually scout, or I haven't said I was doing my normal patrols as a bird, as an eagle. Although in retrospect, that now seems very wise. If you'll let me, I would go back in time and say, sure, I've been doing that, but no, that I haven't actually said that.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's a couple of days later. You guys are getting pretty bored at this point.
Okay, then I'll be doing regular patrols as an eagle, my standard 100 feet up. But that means I'll be spending most of my time airborne as an eagle.
Alright,
Probably, I would expect probably getting, given the pace of this boat, soaring around, patrolling, landing in a tree, catching the occasional meal or two, and then as the boat catches up, continuing to scout ahead.
Okay. Well, up ahead, you see a sizable fortress at a bend in the river. It looks to be occupied, but not heavily so. There isn't what looks to be a huge garrison, although you do spot a few people up on the walls. So what do you want to do? This is about an hour ahead of where the boat is at this point.
I am going to, as soon as I spot it, and I have a pretty good idea. So, about how many men do we think?
You're not sure because by far the largest number of them are inside. You see maybe 5 or 6 of them keeping lookout from the walls.
So maybe a platoon, potentially a company, if they've got that many on guard. And the size.
They don't look to be hunkered down for a fight. The drawbridge is down.
Okay. Then, and is there any way the ship is going to sail past without being noticed? I'm assuming not.
It is right on the river. In fact, there is a large jetty that projects out into the water. And go ahead and make me a perception check.
Okay, that is going to be...
The river is also quite narrow here, and there's a very sheer wall on the western bank. The eastern bank where the fortress is not quite so sheer, but it still goes up the hillside very fast. So this is a narrow place in the river without much place to go from the river to get around. So it's
I'm going to assume
situated.
I'm going to assume I've got lightning reaction up, so that's going to be a total of plus 23. Do you still want me to roll?
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
Okay. $33.
Alrighty.
I will attempt to ascertain the size of the force occupying, their general attitude, which I think I've kind of already done. I'm not going to get close enough to try and overhear anything. Okay. So I am going to turn around and beeline for our cabin where the chest is, and I assume the entire party's there?
Yeah, unless they want to be somewhere else.
Okay, I'm going to stay an eagle, just so I don't have to spend the spell points. But I'm going to say there's a fortress right on the riverbank up ahead, about an hour away, now more like 45 minutes, that is manned by armed soldiers. Probably, I saw a half dozen, could be 2 or 3 times that inside. And under the water, they have massive chains placed across the river to prevent ships from passing without permission from the fortress. So the bunch of us beeline it for Captain, what's his name?
Dennis.
Dennis.
Yeah,
And
find out if this is.
make sure that this is in his plan and that he's already got the requisite toll ready to be paid, and et cetera, because if this is a complete surprise to him, that's probably not good. So where's Dennis usually?
Up steering the ship on the top deck.
Okay, so I will lead the way up to Dennis. You know, I should be charging for scouting services, but I don't think we will. It's all for the common good. So I'm going to be talking to him and telling him the same thing I just told my crew. And my spell points are now 60. 63. Oh, actually, they're quite a bit more than that. 84. Okay. So those soldiers I saw are guild members. Did I see any identifying heraldic insignia or such like?
No, they don't have any. They weren't flying a flag or anything like that. In fact, they didn't really seem to care if anyone saw them or not. Man, I'm blurry.
It's a guild outpost. This is a question kind of out of character. Well, no, in character for the rest of my group. Are you guys still down in the cabin?
No, I would have gone with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would have gone up.
Then let's have a group discussion about whether this alters how we handle the stones, both the attuned and the unattuned, because I don't know whether this represents an opportunity to try and hide them because they might be taken away, to essentially tell the guild about them and register them so that everybody knows we have them and it's less likely that they'll get taken, whether we could turn them in and get attuned to us here. Who might have those answers?
Oh, Dennis knows it's a guild output.
Yeah, but he has no jack about soulstones, I don't think.
Yeah. So the first question I'd have is like, do these guys actually board the boat and start searching it, or what's?
Yeah, let's ask him that. So are they like the Coast Guard where they'll come ashore or come aboard, perhaps with a soulstone sniffing dog and inspect for contraband?
Well, you should ask him that in character.
Okay.
Then.
They've clearly got the means to stop all traffic for some reason. I wonder if that means we're going to get told on our Soulstones. We're certainly going. It seems unlikely that we will be able to or want to hide our possession, given that the whole boat knows we have them. So I think we have to form a plan going forward, assuming as soon as we come in contact with them, they're going to know that we have a fortune's worth of Soulstones.
Well, we need to know. Oh, heroes travel free. That's what he meant. Okay.
I would nominate Crash to essentially, as soon as they board, tell them the whole story, starting with. I guess we don't have to go back to the county fair in Stump, but certainly with meeting Prandwis, and just get everything out in the open, including the potential entanglement with Yasmin, the battle with the dragon, and the finding of the unattuned soulstones, the whole 9 yards. Because I think any other course is just going to get dealt with poorly.
Well, if heroes do travel free, we can start with, we can turn Tovig in and see what benefits that gets us.
Well, one of the reasons I want to tell that story is so that it starts to spread within the guild, so that they know we're coming and that we have these, and our intent with regard to them is to, I believe in the long run, is to liquidate the lot and get one attuned to each of us. But then the other intent of that would be us going and saving whatever his face was from the kobolds, and getting the soul stones and battling those goblins and the dragon. That's pretty heroic. I mean, that's a pretty good audition for the guild if we want to position with them.
Yeah.
We'll see if we get there.
Okay.
I mean, probably just kind of the idea of we tell them until they're happy.
Okay. But I'm willing to open our kimonos wide if this is the opportunity to do so that could get us kind of on the right side of the guild and the law. Okay. With that, I assume we just keep trundling north on the ship.
Alrighty. Well, after not too very long, you get to the.
I thought of a name for our canoe, by the way.
Okay.
We should call our canoe the Popotamus, because then it becomes the ship Popotamus.
Oh, good Lord.
It's the worst pun I can think of. Okay. So we're arriving near the fortress.
And you can see it up here. I did a map. It took a long time. Let's zoom out a little bit.
Wow. And we know from playing computer games, we see named individuals on the map. So something's going to happen and we need to talk to them. Not just soldier 1, 2, 3, 4 and peasant ad infinitum. Okay, we'll let Dennis go about his usual procedures then. With the one exception being, I think, if this works like kind of every other operation like this in the military, they would send a lieutenant, maybe, or in some cases even a senior NCO to do the actual boarding the boat and talking to people, because that's not something upper management usually gets involved in. In this case, given our position to Soulstones, I would be inclined to ask to speak to their commander. Get as high up the chain as we can to get upper management's attention and judgment on our situation and our possession of the Soulstones quickly. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, as we come in range, as soon as they come out to meet us, we'll say, take us to your leader. While, of course, leaving an adequate guard on the chest. I'm not seeing an exclamation point or a question mark. What is that a reference to?
In a lot of video games, the exclamation is
Oh, yeah.
request, and the question mark is the turn-in.
Yep. We've been conditioned. It's actually a relatively sizable fort. There might be a company-sized group here.
Yep. I'm just concerned about the huge trap about the 11 o'clock position on that. You know, traps being the big red squares.
Big red squares.
You might have to zoom the map out to see more of the fort.
Yeah, if you look at the fort at about the 11 o'clock position, there's a big red square.
Well, let's not step in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Which is an area that is obscured so far, correct?
That's a fire trap.
Jenny, what does that look like from the air as an eagle? Is it just something I can't see, or is it an actual stucco roof?
It's a red tiled roof. It's basically over the what looks like the main living quarters.
That's what she wants us to believe.
Okay. Then I think we'll just wait to be boarded and do our very best impression of fine, upstanding citizens.
Where the heck did the boat go?
It's down at the bottom. Last I saw it. No, it disappeared.
Yeah,
wow. These guys are powerful.
I was getting ready to move it.
They
We-
stole our boat.
Everybody make a swim check. This is why we saved the canoe.
Prandwis sunk the boat.
It was gone because it was on the boat.
Wow. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a drink.
I was gonna say, oh my god, they shrunk the boat to the size of a chick.
Honey, they shrunk the boat.
This is one thing
back.
that's kind of bugging me about Roll20 is that the nameplates do not scale when everything else gets scaled. Yeah, if you guys could like move yourselves on the boat, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Except I don't
We go under
see
the boat.
me.
Interestingly, when you double click on yourself, you get the normal sized hit points and spell points. But yeah, you're teeny tiny until that. You want us to put ourselves on the boat where it is now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It puts me actually under the boat, apparently.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah.
that's
Hang on a
okay.
second, quit moving yourselves and let me send everybody to front.
Somebody's got to be watching the stones. I'll be watching the stones if nobody else is.
And I'll be a panther.
'Cause, you know, there's always some shrinkage. Come inventory time.
Come
Always
on.
something missing.
We don't worry because that's usually offset by the rogue tax.
Actually, I'm going to stay human for now.
Front. This is what I get for trying to be clever. Now it's a pain in the butt.
At what point are they going to stop the boat? That would be when we really ought to be positioned.
To front.
I'm assuming Dennis knows to stop before the chain.
The chain, if I recall, the chain is something that is deployable but not deployed. So it can be used to prevent ships passing, but it is not. It's underwater, so it's not something they have to lower for ships to pass. They can just raise it if they want to stop.
Right, they
people.
winch it up.
They
Yeah.
winch it. Yeah, and that would be my guess. Is that as soon as they see us coming, they're going to start winching it up. And Dennis would know that. He's traveled the river enough times.
These guys are lucky we decided to go on a riverboat rather than a cruise ship. Could have taken them out.
A 48-gun galleon would have just, decimated that little fort.
Yeah, it's actually quite impressive for a river this size and the traffic and towns we have seen on it.
Yeah.
I would not have necessarily expected it to be profitable to build, maintain, and staff this kind of fort and system on this river in general, and certainly at this point, because the only thing downstream of us is Stump, and the only thing upstream is essentially another relatively podunk town. When Dennis says heroes travel free, though, is he talking about like heroes generically or actual members of the Adventurers Guild?
You're not sure.
Okay.
And in fact, you're not sure if he knows the difference.
Great.
We shall just find out.
Have you moved the boat as much as you want to?
Alright, I think we're good. When you get up about here, they basically take the mules off of the that you got left in the water. They take the mules off of the wheel, and you start slowing down because you're going up against the current. The chains are about here. But Dennis wants to stop before then because he does not want to damage the hull of his boat. But you can see they've got quite a few ballista up here and some other people. And as you get past, you notice that there is a cave kind of going back into the rock that's hidden behind this outcropping over here. That's not what I want. Over on this side, and these boats come out. And you also see some more boats out beyond the fortress there. Some guys ready to board if necessary.
They take this shakedown really seriously.
And this guy here, Thom, I don't know if you can see him particularly well. I did a lot of fighting with this map trying to get things to be size. It drives me nuts that you can scale everything except for the character nameplates. So when you get to like small size boxes like this, the names are just enormous. Well, and the thing is I didn't want to create a 15,000 pixel wide map so that we could get smaller name boxes. Because who knows how long that would frickin' take to load. But anyway, let me see.
Oh,
if I got a
actually,
better picture of Thom.
Can we just have Golwyn guard the chest?
Yeah, that would be a really good role for him since he's not here at the moment.
Yep. But that's what Thom looks like. He yells out for you, "Ho the ship! Prepare for boarding!"
So we'll drop anchor.
Yep. And Dennis has them drop the anchor. And these boats come alongside.
He's got 4 axes, 2 on his belt and 2 in his hands, essentially. Is that a bow on his back?
I was thinking it looked more like a mandolin or something like that.
Or another axe handle?
It's an instrument.
Or it's, the gun from Predator.
Oh, right. Top part's on a gimbal.
So a couple of guys come aboard. Gonna zoom in here. For pity's sake. And what was that?
So each one of these boats have 3 people. So there's 18. Yeah, we're talking a garrison probably of about 50, 60 people. At least.
Yeah, but most of them are red shirts.
More than enough that we are talking our way through this rather than fighting our way through it.
Well, we'll start that way.
Without actually knowing what precautions they've taken, I'm guessing it wouldn't be the very first time they'd seen a shapeshifter either. I'm guessing they've seen a lot.
Probably.
Alrighty. So they go up to talk. They seem to be in a pretty good mood. Apparently, they seem like they've met Dennis before. So he comes down to talk to them.
So that the question that I put in chat, that was directed at Thumb. I will go ahead and introduce Elendal, Harold, Lucha, and Golwyn. Actually, I'll introduce Golwyn in absentia and begin to explain the reason that Golwyn is down guarding a chest on the second deck. Unless somebody stops me or has a better idea. What?
About the chest, I would, talk about our.
I would talk more about Tovig.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will actually, Harold, do you want to do this with your hired Cha?
Sure.
Okay. So you're going to launch into the entire sad tale of Tovig, who is still under guard below decks, correct?
Yes. Well, unless Dennis pulls his crew up.
I would also like to let this guy know about the stones and be completely upfront with him rather than have him find them or have it look like we were doing anything in the way of subterfuge or surprise. So,
well, unless he asks for something, do you have anything of value or anything like that? We don't want to give that information up because even though he may not be interested in it, some of his crew may go, hey, and take it upon themselves.
Guys, this is our best and only chance so far to talk to anybody in guild management about the fact that we have these. I would like his advice on what to do with them.
And understand, I'm not saying we're not going to talk to him, but you're shouting this across the water where we have 25 people that are going to hear we have Soulstones.
Okay, well, I'll wait until we have a private moment.
Yeah.
Does Dennis, as the captain, have quarters per se?
No, he sleeps down below with the crewmen. They swap bunks basically.
We just want to let the commander of this garrison know that we have an ex-member of their guild, or
Right.
somebody we are assuming from what we've been told is an ex-member of their guild who has been kicked out because of something that he did, and we think we may have cured him, and we'd like to discuss further.
I still have no sense of whether this guild is kind of like everybody knows everybody and they're fiercely loyal to each other, or saying you're a member of the guild is saying like, oh, I went to Purdue back in 1988, you know?
It's more like the Purdue one.
Yeah, they may have no idea who this guy is, just that he's a former member of the guild.
But even if you went to Purdue back in 88 and you're a member of Purdue, if you heard about somebody doing something really, really bad, you kind of know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you may not know all the details, but you would have heard of it. Like, you know, if even your local university, if you had a professor that was fired, everybody knows the professor's fired. Now, you don't know whether it's because of ethical misconduct, because, you know, he's caught sleeping with a student, because he's taken bribes or whatever. You just know, hey, that guy got fired.
Okay. No, I'm going to say let's wait on the Soulstones until after Tovig is completely settled and off the boat.
To the whoever's yelling at us.
Well, the border is on the boat with you guys. Thom is like way up here and can only barely hear you. So, if you want to talk to Thom, you probably want to go to shore and talk to him. Not screaming things that all sound like at each other.
Well, can we invite him on board and to our cabin so he can see what we're talking about? And then that would give us some privacy.
Yeah, but he's the commander of the fort, so I don't think he wants to come aboard.
Okay.
He wants a little more information about what's going on before he wants to come aboard.
I'll be right back.
Okay, so everybody except for Golwyn trundles ashore.
I'm assuming we can get Tovig onto the boat and ferry him ashore without issue.
Yeah, he's really not. I mean, you guys way outnumber him. He's not really armed, so he doesn't really have much that he can do to fight you guys.
So where's his quarters or office? His tactical operations center?
Well, what he does is basically
I'm about to put my token there.
come on. Okay. So basically, he comes over. This is a way more work. Down here, and meets you in this first big tower, pretty much.
Okay. I assume we all want to be there.
Yeah, except for Golwyn, because he's a punk.
And he's guarding the chest. Does anyone object to telling him the whole story? Because that would be my... that's what I would like to do, unless somebody has a reason not to. If we don't do it now, I don't know when we're going to.
Yeah, no. I'm fine with telling him the whole story now.
And also with Thom comes what you kind of figure is his inner circle. Of a few other people.
Is Diocha actually holding a flaming sword?
Yes.
Wow.
That's no big deal. I got a flaming sword.
And the last one is particularly weird because it looks to be a construct. It is a machine, but roughly the size and shape of a human.
Is that stillness?
Yep.
Huh. I'm guessing we have never seen anything like stillness before,
No, you have not.
outside of the Wizard of Oz.
No. I mean, you're kind of vaguely aware that constructs exist, but this one is like most constructs would be like a golem where you have to actually give them orders and then they just follow the orders to the letter and they're not intelligent. This one is kind of hanging around like a person would, kind of like leaning against the wall, watching what's going on. Is not saying anything though.
No whirring and clicks, whistles.
So let's This is a mess. This is what happens when I don't get enough time to prep because
What is Tom's input, or is he just what is his input on Tovig, or is he simply stashing him in a prison cell? Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Tovig wasn't inadvertently slowly spreading a trail of rumors in his wake. This kind of curse.
Well, he may have just been fairly successful at leaving the area ahead of the rumors at the time.
So Thom does not say, "Oh, Tovig, that bastard." He doesn't give any evidence of recognizing who this is.
No, he doesn't give any recognition.
Okay. Is Prandwas with us?
No.
Okay.
He's not. He doesn't have any belongings, So he's not going to be paying any toll regardless of how this turns out, so he doesn't really care.
He's got belongings. He's got that bag of holding and stuff.
He doesn't have trade goods. Let's put
Okay.
it like that. Yes, you have personal belongings, but that's not the same thing. Okay, wait, what are you saying here? I'm now super confused.
Okay. And we'll let Harold lead, but I will proceed to spill the whole thing. Not going into detail as to exactly who won which match in the county fair or where the canoe came from, but
Yeah, gotta be secretive
everything
about the
else.
canoe.
And what I would like to gain from the conversation is his awareness of everything, and then most importantly, his advice for what we should do next. Does he know after? So let me know when we've kind of told the tale, because I would like to know if he's heard of Prandwis, if he's heard of Yesman, if he has any knowledge of the 7 attuned soul stones. I'm looking to him for further intel and advice. Because we've been, to some extent, feeling our way in the dark to this point, and he is not.
Ah. Yeah, you should probably. We can kind of just hand wave you guys telling the story, but.
Yeah, I don't want to type all that into chat, if that's okay.
So I'm
Type in
assuming
yada yada yada.
you tell him something like we heard about this party of guild adventurers that went missing in the swamp. This guy hired us to find them. He gave us a wand. We used the wand to find their soul stones. We've got their soul stones here. But while we were there, we ran across this gnome village, and they had this dragon that they were sacrificing people to, and we killed the dragon. And then we found the dragon's cave, and the dragon's cave was full of unattuned stones that we packed up and brought along with the other stones that we found.
Exactly. We can tell him also about the Cobalt Village, and I would, I assume he's going to ask, but I would go into detail on the exact location of all the stones we found. I don't think we've kept them all straight, but I'm sure once they're resurrected, they can tell the tale of exactly how they came to be where we found the stones. I'm going to say yes. Does everybody else want to be in the guild?
Sure. Apparently, there's supposed to be perks with that. Working the river is not one that I'm looking for, though.
I would love to be a member of the Adventurers Guild, leaping from tree to tree amid the Scotch pines. Hence the name Adventurers Guild. Lucha.
Well, you know, if they're going to take 50% of everything that we make, is it going to be worth being a member of the guild? As opposed to us just being freelance and, you know, not deliberately crossing them?
Don't they have a monopoly on the attunement and use of the Soulstones?
No.
Oh. I thought they did.
No, they try to maintain a monopoly, but the elves, the dwarves, and the orcs all have their own little hero organizations that have soulstones.
Okay.
The guild negotiates with those organizations for distribution of newly found soulstones. It is not without acrimony. The guild is large and powerful, and since they're so far flung, they generally maintain a lot of control. The other groups find it terribly hard to get soulstones. So there's a lot of bickering back and forth and jockeying for position and arguing over who's got, you know, enough soulstones for what needs to get done.
I assume there are black markets and a criminal element involved, and that these guys are not that. They're essentially the DEA for Soulstones.
Yeah, kind of. I wouldn't say exactly a black market. There are independent adventuring groups that have their own Soulstone heroes, and yeah, sometimes they get up to all sorts of criminal activity because they can.
In general, Soulstones are useless unless you have a gang or an infrastructure to return them and get yourself resurrected, right? Then they just
Yep.
sit out in the swamps like ours did.
Yep, pretty much. So there's a certain it very much lends itself to an organizational thing. You don't really just get one on your own. Generally,
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things like a town will sponsor someone to become an adventurer and purchase them a soulstone. So that person will generally kind of gather a group of people, and they try to add. You know, it's like a franchise organization thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where people are always trying to set up their own little franchises or start their own franchise, that sort of thing.
It's the Fraternal Order of Eagles. It's the Shriners.
I was going to say Golden Arches, so that's much better.
Yeah. Do we get those cute little motorcycles? Ooh, 25%.
You know, that's steep, but I think it's worth it to have somebody who's going to go find your Soulstone when you
Yeah.
don't show up at a given appointed place and time.
And how do they know how much we made?
We're honest. That's how they know. Look at our faces. We look honest.
I'm honest. I just have expenses. So, 25% of the profit. If there's really no profit, you're getting nothing.
They have a pension plan, yada yada.
You can tell that Lucha and Listens have slightly different philosophies on life. Listens has never had any need for money whatsoever.
And net. And believe me, my books are going to show I netted nothing.
Well, that's easy.
Okay, that's a good clarification.
So they're not wearing uniforms, correct?
No, they're not wearing uniforms at all. In fact,
Do they have shoulder patches or an emblem or heraldry?
it's a little weird because they're like, they're a bit gaudy. They kind of have the. You look at like there are other guards and so forth around. They're just dressed practically. These guys are wearing, like, well, you saw them. They've got, they're fancied up.
We
Fancy
should all
boys.
They've
get
got the-
patches made up to wear of a gnome paladin, and tell everybody it's heraldry.
Oh, good Lord.
Harold's a
You're,
halfling.
you're just hurting my punny bone.
Sorry, Jenny, I talked over you. So they're not wearing anything that actually identifies themselves as members of the Adventurers Guild.
Nope. They are very fancily dressed and somewhat fancifully dressed. But other than that, no, they're not wearing. They're not wearing anything particularly guild oriented that you can see.
So we need 5 stones. Everybody okay with just giving them the rest?
Um,
No.
we told,
I suspected that wouldn't fly.
yeah, we told Prodwis we'd, help him out.
Yeah, that's the 7 attuned ones, and then we've got 5 unattuned, and that would actually leave us 17 unattuned stones to sell.
Right, now I don't know what the going rate for attunement would be. But I would not be willing to, part with more than one per attunement. Here's 2. You attune 1 to me, and the guild gets 1. Is the most I would be willing to do, and
Yeah.
and that I think would be very generous on our part.
I think here's 5 for the party, and here's 2 extras, and they can bargain from there.
I'm willing to start with that.
We can't be the only people that have ever wandered into the Adventurers Guild with unattuned stones.
I'm sure, but I don't think that it's an everyday occurrence that people walk in with 22 extras.
Right.
That's why I was trying to avoid giving numbers.
They're going through the boat as we speak, I assume. It seems I don't intend to not allow them to look in one chest on the boat. And when we do, and when they do look in it, it doesn't make any sense to pretend that they wouldn't count them or thoroughly inspect the contents.
Surprising what a little bit of magic and stuff can do. There goes Allendale running on his horse again.
Which one's Uverim? Oh, the flame guy?
No,
Flaming
that's
sword guy?
Deocha. Uverim is the bow guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry these little tokens are so hard to see.
Jenny, do you know anything about this Dungeons and Dragons Beyond?
Yeah, it's their new thing for like 5th edition D&D. It's, I think, their like online platform or whatever.
Is it
So
meant to be a new MMO? I've been seeing ads for it in my Facebook newsfeed too.
yeah, it's just ever since I started with Roll20, I get at least 2 or 3 of them a day. So I didn't know if they were affiliated, whether it was a replacement, whether it was what.
It's the official digital tool set for Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, so it could just be a competitor to Roll20?
That's what it sounded like, yeah.
Understand there's other stuff like I'm
Yeah,
assuming
they have a thing like a character planner where you can like build your character in their thing and so forth.
Well, I understand it has its frustrations, but I've been very impressed with the capabilities of Roll20.
Oh yeah, I have. I think I agree with Elendil on one thing. It'd be really nice if the character sheet wasn't like could be opened up in a different panel or something like that. So you can have your character sheet and you can have your map up at the same
You
time.
can do that.
Can you?
Yep.
Well, I do, but it's in a whole nother tab. It's not in Roll20.
Yeah, if you basically open your character and you'll see the 2 boxes on the upper left hand side right next to your name, where it's got the 2 squares one on top of each other. That button that pops it out into a new window.
2 squares right on top of each other.
On the top left of your
Yeah, it's not on your character sheet. It's on the like bio and info sheet.
Huh.
Okay, I'll have to look at it later.
But yeah, you can absolutely pop your sheet out into a different window.
I was thinking of doing that, but between wild shaping and lightning reaction and everything else, my stats bounce all over so much that
yeah. It's good for rolls that don't change a lot. It's not great for stuff that's going to have lots of different modifiers to it. You can set it to query a modifier for the roll before it rolls. So basically you'll click on it to roll and it'll pop up a box and say modifier, but you have to know the whole modifier that you're adding in.
Right.
And it's not real good when you start getting into complicated thing. Like it's like, okay, well, I'm doing this type of damage, but I got sneak and I got this. And when you have a lot of stuff to add together, it's usually better just to roll manually still. But it can be helpful for just things that you don't use very often. You can just one click, boop, there we go.
Yeah, because right now I keep my character sheet open in Obsidian Portal and then just do the random roll.
Yeah, same. The thing I roll the most is perception, and that's what bounces around the most.
Yeah.
Huh. So this is a relatively rare event.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yep. And we told everybody how many Soulstones we have.
They were gonna find out anyway. That was just 2 stones. They weren't going to just leave the chest locked and uninspected.
There's ways of concealing how many are in there.
Adam, you're on a roll. So when he says a big group of muckety mucks comes and the discussions last for days, that's clearly not him.
So, since there's a big to-do about these things, do we want to ask him to dispatch someone to get the muckety mucks to come to us, and we can just wait here for them?
I'm assuming he doesn't actually have hundreds of millions in cash, but he probably knows who might.
Actually, the thought of staying here in the fortress and having them come to us
I really like
is
that idea.
much more appealing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that, we have so many extra soul stones. I'm pretty sure if it was a huge deal for 2,
They'll come.
they'll come to us. Now, we may not get paid on the spot. They'll probably bring somebody that, is willing to, or it will attune the soul stones to us. And take the payment of 2 soul stones from there. But payment for the other 15 soul stones may have to wait until we can get to the next city. In the meantime, the guild has a vested interest in keeping them safe.
Right.
Absolutely. And this is the best place we've found so far. Do we want to send Prandwis and Dennis and the rest of the boat crew on up the river with 2 stones, 7 stones?
Well, I would say let's keep Prandwis with us and send a message to whatever that chick's name is. I forget.
Yasmin.
And say, look, we have Prandwis, we have the soul stones. Please meet us at this fort. And we're willing to hand over the soul stones in exchange for a small recompense, of which part of the deal is, Prandwis is no longer in danger from you or any of your known or unknown associates.
I really like the idea of just turning this fort into our meeting place
Headquarters?
with all these.
Yeah.
With all these people that rather than go to them in their home turf.
Yep.
How far away is Yesman as the eagle flies? Is it less than a day? Because I could just go tell her.
Well, even if it's 2 days.
Right.
The other question is, now that I think about this, because I'm digging this idea
Basically,
more and more, but the question is there space here for us? Is there
Oh, they'll
room in
make
the inn?
space. They'll make space.
There's space. The fort is much bigger than they need.
Okay. But not take into account, we're going to have huge mucky mucks in the guild coming up here too, and they're going to expect a little bit of pomp and circumstance. Is Tom ready for that?
Don't make me know, never mind.
He didn't get promoted to regional commander for nothing.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that this is a way
This is
out,
why he gets paid the big bucks.
but it's a way out back post. It could be a punishment.
If you were to fly directly to Alpale, it would take you about 8 days to get there.
Okay.
And it would also be directly over largely uninhabited territory, so you might get in some trouble.
We do know that Prondwis was, sending things back and forth with someone. I would assume it's Yesman via the boat. So he should know how to get that taken care of to let her know.
Yeah, we should check with him, but I would assume he
would.
would welcome the opportunity to have her meet him here to do
I
the
would think.
exchange.
Sure.
Yeah.
10% toll. I don't know that we can't pay 10% of what our stuff's worth. Unless he means he's going to take a couple stones.
Stones, yeah. That's exactly what he means.
And we don't know how many more, spots there are like this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be nickeled and dimed to death. I'd say, how about we give you a stone and we stay here?
Yeah, these other people, his lieutenants, look impressive, but I doubt they've just taken out a dragon in a village full of goblins.
So he is saying that, they may just take the stones from us if we.
It's not so much that they take them, is that they'd be like, oh, we have to take these to the temple for cleaning and polishing. And then every time you tried to get more news on when are we going to get paid, when are we going to get more news, that, oh no, we have forms to fill out and we're still getting okay. Right. Basically they would vanish into the bureaucracy and they'd send you off to some outpost in the ass end of nowhere and you'd never hear back.
They don't get the stones until everything that we want is accomplished.
Yeah, but you're talking Guild High Muckitymucks are going to be very high level adventurers with entire reams of staff. You may not have that option.
Well, hopefully they wouldn't be assholes either. I mean,
he's telling you bald-faced that they might.
Yeah.
We have to consider
that is what you are getting off of him. Is he is like, I don't want to. He has loyalty to the guild, and he feels like he should look out for the guild's interests in this, which is to get as many of these stones as possible, as quickly as possible. But he also doesn't want to basically just stomp on you guys. And he's very much afraid that if he just tells you, no, just, give the stones to the guild, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, so
now Harold's family were thinking we might be able to, with their connections, we might be able to get stones attuned, right?
No, I was saying that with my family, it would be a good place to stash them, and we wouldn't have to worry about them.
Okay.
Also, get rid of the chicken egg.
We left the chicken egg and stump.
No, you didn't. You brought it on the boat, I thought. It was down.
Yeah,
It's in the canoe. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good analogy for how to describe Thom's feelings about this situation that you guys have brought him. It's kind of like you're the local Coast Guard commander, and some rich, twit on his dad's boat shows up with says, hey, I went and killed Vladimir Putin. I thought there was a U.S. government bounty for him. What can I do about this? And you're just sitting there going, oh my God.
It's like walking into custom was a suitcase full of gold.
No, I know
kind of like that.
I know the exact analogy. We've all seen Independence Day. Oh, you want your proof? Here's your proof. And rip back the tarp.
Right.
Yeah, it's very much like that. He has some official power. I mean, he is the commander of this outpost, but this is so far above his pay grade that he doesn't even know where to start. Well, and it involves stuff that could get him in so much trouble if he screws it up. And it also involves people who would be more than happy to just crap all over his entire life and career if it suited them. Just casually is, oh, I don't want to bother with this. Boom, your life's over.
Cold hard cash on us right now. How much do you guys figure we have? Like 100 gold?
My character, we've been divvying it up as we go along. We've still got a +1 longsword we haven't sold, and some other things that are worth cash. I currently have 1 gold and 111 silver. We've got the +1 longsword, and The rod of flame extinguishing is the.
No. Oh yeah, we were talking to Dennis about giving him that because that'd be definitely handy to have on the boat.
I have in my notes on party loot. I have one enormous 200-pound egg laid by a chicken-legged hut, currently with Vigan's family. Did we
Yeah,
leave that with Vigan's family back in
No,
Stump?
you decided to bring it along with you on the boat.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
not updated.
I'm gonna change that then.
I don't know that much about having a party. I'm not going to get drunk or anything. Actually,
I have wand of locate soulstones with 28 charges. Is that accurate, or have we charged it up to full?
My intent was by the time that we got to talk to Yasmin that I'd have it up to full for her.
And full is 55?
Full is
50, I
50.
believe.
Okay.
okay, so we have to decide. We don't know how often riverboats come by. So we have to kind of decide, are we going to try and stick it out here? Or are we going to get on the boat?
Well,
What
Or
what's
are we going
his...
to pay? We got to pay Dennis if we're asking him to stop.
Well, no, hang on. The first question we need answered is how many more of these outposts are there? You know, you brought this up. Are we going to be nickeled and dimed the whole way along?
Right. So let's ask.
No. This is actually the only guild outpost on the river. It's basically this is the edge of civilization marker spot, which is why they charge a toll. Pretty much they just are like, you're entering guild maintained territory. So, pay us for our good work.
Okay, so that means that heading up towards the next town or towns, we should be perfectly fine. We're not going to get stopped by some other fort that's along the way with a chain across that's going to prevent us from moving.
Yeah, you can get that information pretty easily from Dennis or Thon that this is pretty much the main stopping point.
Okay, so what else do we hit? We have the +1 longsword.
What I have listed is a large 6-person canoe, now named Potamus. The +1 longsword, 7 soulstones attuned, 22 raw unattuned soulstones, wand of locate soulstones with 50 charges, 2 potions of heroism, +2 on all d20 rolls for an hour, 1 enormous egg laid by a chicken-legged hut, an ironwood chest, and the rod of flame extinguishing.
Okay, now at one point in time, and I don't remember everything that was going on. I know we were talking to Dennis about possibly exchanging that for something. So realistically, we have the potions of heroism and the +1 longsword.
To sell? Is that what you're thinking?
Or to barter for our passage up.
Well, yes, we never actually gave that rod of flame extinguishing away that I
No
recorded anyway.
We haven't, but there was discussions with Dennis, and I think we're trying to figure out how much money he was willing to pay for it, but I don't remember exactly.
I don't
All right.
recall either.
So I would like to get the stones attuned while we're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, even my dog agrees.
Well, we have to go to Polis anyway. But then, obviously, that can wait because it would have to. It's going to take us weeks or months to get there. I assume there's a standard fee. Probably, it might even just be as simple as what you normally pay for a wedding or a low-level heal. I hope it's not like a resurrection.
I don't know. I think passage, attunement, and a guild invite for a soulstone, considering how rare they are, and it went on for weeks.
You might be underselling us.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be retiring on the one stone.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
But he said he wanted 10% just for passage.
He
Yeah, but I
collects
think
that
that's
from
not a-
everybody with goods. That's just the standard fee, standard tithe.
Yeah.
He hasn't actually said, I need to take one of your stones as a toll. I hope he recognizes this as an exceptional situation.
And I mean, realistically, when you consider that we have 22 of the stones, is it that big of a deal to get all that stuff taken care of in one fell swoop for the cost of one stone?
No, I'd be happy to cough it up if we could liquidate the unattuned stones, get ourselves attuned, and make it so that all we have to do to be members of the guild is show up in Polis. I would happily part with one stone for all of that, especially if it was done in a safe, secure, and completely upright manner.
Uh-huh. And here comes the rub.
Yeah.
It's an oblong-shaped shrine, and there's a dragon currently trying to hatch it.
Why are we joining a guild that finds it too dangerous to go down to the shrine? Come on.
It's not his job to clean up the caverns. It's his job to man this fort.
He's got plenty of people he could send
It's
down
not
there.
that it's too dangerous. It's that he's supposed to stay here. They were just using it as a, basically it's hey, there's a park in our backyard, might as well run around in it as long as it's there. But when it started getting dangerous, he basically said, it's off limits, leave it alone. We've got to do our actual job.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but we're going to have to decide what we're going to do with our stones if we're going to go, are we going to be walking around with this chest everywhere we go? dropping it when we fight, then picking it back up.
Leave him here with the guard paladin. You never got a response from Golan?
No, I'm telling you, he's a kid in some ways still. I know he sounds like he's grown up. He's still a kid.
Yeah, except, listens. Does Jenny still sound like, your little baby girl?
No, but she's over 40.
But she's still your baby girl.
She's Jenny, but
I was never his baby girl. He didn't meet me until I was 7.
That's still a baby.
Little girl.
You were potty trained. You were potty trained, but that's still a baby.
I think you were 5. I remember you
6 or 7. I was 5 when we lived in Illinois, I thought.
I remember you riding on my shoulders, which I'm not sure I would attempt today. Yeah.
I'm not sure you could lift me that high.
Yeah, I often tell my wife, I can carry you upstairs if you want me to. It'll be a fireman's carry.
Yeah, we're not doing that romantic thing because frankly, carrying anything in your arms like that is insanely difficult.
Yeah, you need to be young and beefy.
Okay, so he...
You remember the old show Pop-Up Video that they had on like MTV? Was it MTV?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I remember watching the video for Last Dance with Mary Jane, and they said that they have a scene where he carries her down to the ocean, and they said they had to get a stunt double for this scene because he couldn't carry her that far.
Too funny.
Yeah.
You say that, and I was just reading something today. I don't know how many people ever saw Jaws 2, but there's a scene where they have a bunch of people in the water, and they're off like floating rafts and stuff. What the photographers didn't realize because they couldn't see properly, is that while they had all the people in the water around these rafts, there was hammerhead sharks, like real hammerhead sharks, in the water beneath them, and these guys were screaming to get off because of these sharks. And the photographers and the director and everybody are like, perfect, that's exactly what we want, go for it. And they're encouraging these guys who are trying to get away from the sharks.
Huh. Huh.
I wonder how he communicates with the thing.
Okay. So basically what he's saying, if we escort him down there...
Clear the place out a little.
Tune the 5 soul stones, and we get the passage through, and a guild invite, and we don't owe him any of the other soul stones.
Right.
That's the way I'm reading that.
That's the way I'm reading it too. And, that seems to me like it's... Now, of course, he's sending the cleric, so that doesn't seem to be that dangerous.
Oh, good thought. If he doesn't know silent speech already, he should damn well learn it. He already told us that any loot is ours.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'm looking
in general
for.
as part of the
I know, but
Adventurers Guild contract.
right, but in here we're basically being told if you go down there and clean, we'll give you all this stuff. But he doesn't mention what would happen if we found loot. Because this isn't really a guild job per se.
Okay.
My perception check is, do I sense any sort of disingenuousness from Tom at all? Or do I think I can trust him? Is why I did my perception check.
He seems pretty up and up. You get the feeling that he doesn't like politics very much. He's kind of a happy-go-lucky guy who just wants to kind of, chill out in his fort and do his job and not worry too much about that sort of thing. He's trying he's legitimately trying to help you guys. He's not
Okay.
holding anything back. That he doesn't seem to have an ulterior motive.
And interestingly enough, if you find any loot that my guys have not found, you're welcome to it, which means his guys have already been down to the bottom of the cavern since whatever this anomaly has shown up.
Well, let me read back. This was their shrine that they were using until the crap started showing up. But yeah, they've cleaned it out probably several times, unless the new arrivals have left something.
Right.
Well, that's not we don't know if that's an answer from Stillness, or I don't know what you're trying to do.
It appears to be able to do yes and no.
We should help these guys.
This seems like a golden opportunity to me to camp here for a while, let everybody come to us, get ourselves attuned, and the only thing it wouldn't resolve is Prandwiss's deal with Yasmin, but we can send her word.
Yeah,
And,
there's got to be some kind of communication that is
and
going
I
on.
presume she would come get the stones.
But
yes.
we'd be looking. we'd be looking. As you said, as you fly, it was a week, 8 days.
Right.
So going down the river, you can figure you can double that. So we're looking 2 weeks from now.
Right.
So 4-week round trip at least. If we send word to her and have her come down.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But that's okay.
Although it may be quicker for her coming downriver, because,
Yeah, because we're not fighting the river.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't actually know that she can't turn into an eagle.
Or that she doesn't have some kind of teleport. Okay, so we're all in agreement. We're going to help this guy.
You bet. It seems like the quickest and easiest way to get ourselves attuned to Soulstones. And then once we can get official membership to the Adventurers Guild, we've suddenly got a fraternity outside ourselves to come get our soul stones wherever we happen to get squished and be raised. Which begs the question a little bit of why Prandwis was on his mission. I'm wondering if the 7 attuned soul stones were not members of the Adventurers Guild, or somehow their system broke down and the Adventurers Guild became unaware that they were missing or where they were. I'm going to ask that question directly to Thom. Does he know?
Sorry, what was the question?
The question is, the 7 attuned soul stones, why was that something we were commissioned to find by Prandwis rather than a party from the Adventurers Guild going and searching for them? Is it that they are not members of the Adventurers Guild somehow, or that the Adventurers Guild somehow lost track of them or their stones or their timeline?
From
I
what
think he's not gonna
Brandos
know.
told you, the guild was getting ready to offer this bounty. He didn't tell you that part. You figured that out from Yasmin's note. From what Brandos told you, he got an early tip from someone who works in the guild but is not actually a guild adventurer.
Okay.
And they sent it on ahead, and that's why nobody else knows about it yet, is because they haven't made the formal announcement. Well, or they may have made it by now, but it hasn't percolated down to where you guys are yet.
Okay.
So basically, he was looking to basically do some insider trading.
Beat them to the punch, right.
Exactly.
But eventually, the Adventurers Guild would have gone looking.
Yes.
This guy is really intriguing. Oh. We have slept at least once on the river, right?
Yes, you
Okay.
were like 5 days on the river, so you've rested quite a few times.
Yeah, and listen, at this point in time, if you want to, if you're keeping track of how many charges, I think I figured it out that I could do 5 charges a night.
Okay.
So, based on Jenny's comment that we've rested 5 days, you could add another 25 charges to max, and I think that's got to get it.
That is 50. Yeah, it was at 28, so it's
Okay.
maxed.
Jenny, are you good with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Just make sure you're paying the cost.
Well, to recharge, I didn't think there was a cost. It was just throwing the spell into it. Or if I totally misunderstood how to recharge.
Yeah, is
No,
there a
you
monetary
actually-
cost?
Yes, there's a monetary cost to recharge a magic item.
How much?
It's 10 copper a charge. It's not that much.
Damn it. We'll never afford that.
Well, 10 copper a charge. That's 250 copper. I don't
It's just
know.
25
You know,
silver?
my expenses
No,
are starting to get
it would
there.
be like 12 and a half silver.
Okay. So I'll take 3 silver off my character sheet, assuming we're all
Yeah.
equally contributing to that.
I'll just take the 12 off mine and we'll deal with it. Part of
Okay.
the deal with Yasmin, I'll just let her know, look, it cost me 12 silver just to recharge this up to full for you. Should you ever find yourself in this situation, would you care to reimburse me for that?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. While I have True Seeing up, I'm going to look not only at the web, but also at stillness.
What are you trying to figure out about stillness and this?
Anything that True Seeing will tell me.
When you look at stillness with True Seeing, you see an unbelievable amount of magical energy emanating from this being. Is basically animated by pure arcane force.
The spell just says reveals all magical effects and their nature, so I don't know what that actually entails.
There are hundreds of thousands of magical effects giving this thing life and sentience and enabling it to function. It's so complicated that picking out any particular effect is basically impossible.
Okay. And the web?
The web is, you aren't sure. When you look at it, you see what looks like magical writing pop up on each of the little stones. It's very, very tiny, like a jeweler engraved it on the stone. But Harold cast read magic to try to see if he could read it. And he still, even with the magical ability to decipher magic, he still can't read whatever this is. It's like something is actively suppressing the ability to understand what this is. As you look at the web, this thoroughly though, go ahead and make perception checks. Yeah, anybody who wants to can make a perception check. That's exactly.
Well, that's not my best roll ever.
Okay, what are we doing a perception for? Because I'm wondering if mine would be better on Arcanum.
You don't have any particular knowledge about this. This is to actually spot something that's different here. It's not.
Oh, I'm still a panther, so that's a 21. Did somebody tell us he made this web?
Yes.
Huh.
Has everyone made their perception checks that he was going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was actually
Okay.
21.
Well, Elendil notices that at the very trailing edge of the, well, not completely at the edge, but pretty close to it, there is a stone that is burned out looking and black, and the gold threads around it are a little crisp and charred looking. And I'm going to need you to make an int check, Elendil. That's not bad.
Well, that's about as bad as I could go. Because my intelligence is 18.
Yeah, which gives you a +4, so you rolled a 10. It's not that
Right.
bad.
Oh, you're right. It's not as worse as I could be, but still not good.
You notice that the shape of this web and the way it's laid out on the ground kind of roughly corresponds to the shape of the land mass of the known world.
I see.
Ah.
And if you were to take that as your, kind of your shape, the burned out stone is kind of where Stump was.
You mean where Stump is, or
Yeah,
are you
well,
telling us something we didn't know?
It's it's in the vicinity. It's very hard to make out because, of course, it's extremely crude, but it is if you were to do a 1-to-1 comparison, it's approximately where Stump is located.
Could it?
It's from us killing the dragon.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Could it also be the cave where we took the unattuned
Oh,
stones?
I meant I wanted to do that in silent speech.
Okay, that's fine.
Although I guess maybe it might understand regular speech. I don't know.
Start off in silent speech and then
Yeah,
it out loud.
It seems to understand silent speech. So, and as I look, so where is this, as I look at the, web of things, where roughly would the heap that we're at now be? And is there a stone near it? Because I assume probably that's going to be the place we're going.
There are a couple of stones around this area, so it's a little hard to tell. There doesn't seem to be a really good 1-to-1 correspondence. The shape is pretty vague, so it's really, really hard to tell.
So it could be Stump, but it could be the cave where we found the stones. Just that's within the margin of error for the map, if it is a map.
Yeah.
Okay.
From the dust in here, you get the impression that A, this web's been here for a while, and B, even stillness doesn't come in here very often.
Did somebody think to ask when that burned out?
Relatively new.
Yeah, if we could pin it down to the day that we killed the dragon and took the stones, that would be quite significant. But who knows whether stillness even tracks days. That would have been, what, 2 weeks ago, game time?
Could be the dragon. It could be that when we took the stones out, made that burn out.
Right.
Maybe all these things have stones.
Yep.
In which case, if we pull this off, one of my favorite Far Side cartoons ever was 2 spiders perched on the end of a slide at a playground, and they had just strung a web up across the end of the slide, and the one spider says to the other, "If we can pull this off, we'll eat like kings." Yeah, if every one of those semi-precious stones is a cave full of soulstones, that would be...
Wreck the market.
It would actually wreck the market, yeah.
You're kind of getting the impression that while Stillness is the maker / proprietor of this thing, Stillness doesn't really have an idea what it is either.
Roughly what time of day is it now?
You guys got here about mid-afternoon, so it's getting on toward evening. You've been looking at this for a while. And talking to Tom also took a while.
Has Dennis and the boat gone north?
No, they are the board they have pretty much at this point they finished going through the cargo, and they're just waiting for you guys to decide if you want them to go without you or not.
Okay.
He's getting a little impatient for a decision.
I would say let him go.
Yeah, I guess we're staying.
Yeah, us and our chest.
Well,
because
so
we're not.
We just have the one tomb to clear out,
and we have no idea what it's like.
Yeah, we're not going to hold him here while we do that, are we?
Well, we should have our soulstones attuned. Is he willing to wait 1 day? You know, and then his all passage would be free. So there's a monetary gain for him also.
Never often offered to let the entire boat go without a charge.
No.
That was not on the table.
We could negotiate that, but that has not been offered.
And we're holding him up. We're holding his money up. So if we're going to do this, I say we let him go or offer him money to stay.
And then how are we going to continue north? I guess in our canoe.
I don't think we need to. I think we can let everybody come to us.
Except Tom has already stated that he doesn't want to deal with that. So he wants us to get in there, clean out this tomb, they'll do the soulstone thing, and then he wants us out of there.
Well, I don't think he's flatly stated that. I know he doesn't want to. He hasn't actually said he's going to make us clear out. Where is it?
My recommendation, just have Pranwith stay with us. Send the boat on, see if they would deliver the message to Yasmin to come down here.
Right.
And while all that's going on, we can go investigate this cave.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
What Tom actually said was, that sounds like a really good idea, and we'd be more than happy to entertain you folks. We could use an excuse to have a party around here.
For the staying for the night.
Well, yeah. He just said he wasn't really sure what our best move would be from here. His instinct was yada, yada, yada.
So my feeling for this is from Tom. Since there's normally, a big to-do about this stuff, it's basically, factions that have power. And he probably doesn't think we have enough power to, protect ourselves from the other side if it comes to that. Right.
Well,
so
considering the type of questions you guys were asking him, I'd say he's pretty good in his estimation of how much you guys know and how apt you are to carefully thread the waters of interfaction strife.
Right. We're so we really kind of need to find a patron we can trust. Is how I feel right now.
And he's not that guy permanently, just because it doesn't seem like he has the authority, the power, or the desire. But I'll bet he and this fortress could serve that purpose, at least while we resolve our own soulstone attunement and the situation with Prandwas and Yasmin. And any high muckety muck would have to come all the way from Polis, correct, Jenny?
Yes. However,
So that would take even longer.
High muckety mucks and Polis probably have access to things like teleportation magic.
Oh yeah.
True.
In fact, somebody roll me a history check, please.
That's not me.
History.
Probably not me either.
I think eventually we're going to have to at least partially trust the good faith of the High Muckety Mucks in the Adventurers Guild, or one of them. Like you said, a patron. And unless somebody can come up with a way of finding out, I think we're completely in the dark with regard to who's likely to abuse us or treat us like the wonderful, starry-eyed puppies we are that want to be the best Adventurers Guild adventurers ever. It may be a bit luck of the draw who hears of us and our possession first and is able to get to us first. I'm hoping it's Gandalf. But if it's Saruman...
Oh. That makes all the difference. Because if you can teleport to here, you can teleport from here.
Maybe. You don't know how exactly the gates work, you just know that they exist.
You know how the
And
gates work.
They're used
You
for
walk up to them,
rapidly,
you dial.
the rapidly using moving adventurers all over the terrain so that they can, report into the guild quickly or go to where there's a trouble spot rapidly, that sort of thing. Basically cuts off travel time.
Yeah, you walk up to them, you dial in the correct code, You have the little flash of water come out, and then you walk through.
Okay, yeah.
And then something always goes wrong.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, it's 7 o'clock now, so we have our choice. We can either go through real quick and try and clear this cavern out for them, or we're gonna have to call it, because I think if we do much more, we're gonna get caught into a loop. So what do you guys want to do?
My Zoom
Well-
call doesn't actually start till 7:30, so I have another 20 minutes.
Well, and there's some stuff you guys can like, Thom's gonna want to give you guys dinner. We can play through that and so forth. But yeah, we'll end after that.
Okay. So bedding down for the night in, what is the name of this fortress? Thom's
Fortress.
Place.
Yeah.
It's Riverback Fortress.
Riverback Fortress, right.
Back of the river. And I actually modeled it on a famous fortress, which is Golubak Fortress in, I believe, Romania. So I was looking for, because I wanted to do a fort, but I was like, I don't know how it should look, and I looked that one up, and it was about perfect. So
Does it actually have this thing out into the river
yes, it does
Would-
actually. I can show you a picture of it here.
where they used to collect tolls? Huh.
I don't know
That's
if they
kinda
actually
fascinating.
used it to collect tolls, but I mean, I would assume that was a possibility at least.
Clearly to have a commanding military presence on the main thoroughfare.
I used to play a game. I can't remember the name of it, but it was all set in medieval Germany, and that was actually one of the things that they had. I wonder if I still got it up my shelf. That was actually one of the things that they had was tolls on the river.
Makes sense. Is Prandwis going to stay with us, or is he going to continue up, or does he want to continue upriver?
If you guys are staying, he wants to stay. He wants to stick with you guys.
Okay.
And we will let him know that, we did send word out for Yasmin to come down. Yeah, all my digital games are put away.
I'm gonna post this in the Discord so you can see the picture of the fortress and the general. But that is roughly what it looks like in real life.
Oh, wow. That's kind of impressive.
Where do
Where's
I
that at?
put that here?
Yeah.
I think it says Serbia.
Huh. So we're seeing a top-down view. Is it kind of on a hill like that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's on a bluff with very big commanding views for archers and
Yep.
ballistas and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's quite well situated. In fact,
Huh.
the water here, the water coming down to the river is basically a waterfall.
Okay.
Interesting.
Cool. So I asked him to sleep on advice for us about the stones. I suspect he's going to have to report back to someone what's going on Toot Sweet.
The communication is not that highly developed here. He can certainly sit on this information for a while if he decides to, in his discretion.
Okay.
Let's say they won't. Basically, when they get news, they're not going to sit there and be like, "We should have gotten this 4 days ago. What the hell is that guy doing?" So he's got
Okay.
time anyway.
So we probably have plenty of time to go down to the shrine, and well, I don't know. We'll see.
So, are you gonna let Denny's go with his stuff, or are you gonna ask him to stay?
Yeah,
overnight,
I think we'll let him go. The question is, so Prandvus is staying with us. How did we actually send word to Yasmin?
Well, we'll tell Brandwis to, we know you were. You've got to have a way to contact her.
He was just sending notes up and down the river. He doesn't have a straight line to her.
He doesn't have a carrier pigeon or anything like that.
Right, but the notes up and down the river, he could give a note to Dennis to
you
deliver
could give
to
a
whoever
note to
was
Dennis.
being.
That would possibly work.
Okay.
Well, the question is, can we ask Tom, do you have some way of directly communicating with another town?
Well, if you want to ask him, ask him.
I forget what the name of that town was that Yasmin's in.
All pale?
Allpael, I think.
Aalpael.
Allpael. Alpha Lima Lima Papa Alpha Echo Lima. Okay, well, note on a boat it is. So we'll see Yasmin in a month-ish, probably. If we're still here.
Yeah. But they do have...
Unless I want to fly there, but that's a long ways.
Well, they do have a guild hall there.
A guild hall in a smaller town is basically like a tavern.
Kind of hoping they'd have something along the lines of a, um, one of the teleport portals there.
Or remember the goose we got from the Kobold Queen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything in my spell list.
That's because it's a ritual spell and I haven't done those yet.
Okay.
But basically, you have to know the ritual to do it.
Yeah,
But
there's
rituals are basically spells that take a long time to cast. You don't memorize them because they're not like adventuring spells. They're utility stuff.
Right.
It's things like make a teleport gate, or raise someone from the dead, or send someone a messenger, that sort of thing. Or create a cursed artifact that keeps somebody young.
there's nothing in my spell list that could speed communication across these kinds of distances.
Yeah, there's nothing in my spell list either. Not for that great of a distance. Although that would be a fun spell to create.
My sense is that if the guild probably would just send messages with couriers via gates, but then they have to have a large enough establishment that they've got a gate there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll send a note on a boat and expect to see Yasmin in a month or so.
Yeah.
And we'll plan to set out in the morning for the shrine. Are we expected to take Stillness? Is he expecting to come along?
No, there's another guy here who you haven't seen. His name is Chanmer. He's the cleric. He's expecting you to take that guy with you.
Okay.
You can possibly take Stillness if you want to.
That's where he came from, correct?
That's where they say they found it.
Well, we can ask him if he wants to come along.
Yeah, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do that. This may just get us a shrug, but so it goes. Is this shrine like 20 minutes away, 20 hours away? A short walk? So we'll leave Stillness here. So Stillness is a member of his crew.
Yeah, he considers it part of his crew.
Okay.
The caverns are about a 6-hour trip from here.
Harold, was he understanding your silent speech?
As far as you guys have been able to tell, Stillness has understood. I mean, is to the extent that you can tell it understands anything. It has understood any language that has been addressed to it.
Okay. So he shrugs and was looking at Tom to see what Tom's opinion was.
Yes.
Not because he didn't understand. Okay. Yeah, I don't see that it would hurt to have him along.
Yeah, I don't either.
He's the closest thing we're going to find to a guide. Maybe Chomner. And he's a mystery I'd kind of like to figure out. So having him along
That's
might
always
help,
a nice
especially if
thing
we're
to
taking
hear
him back to the place
as
where
the
he was
DM.
found. Okay. Eat, drink, be merry, sleep.
Yeah, pretty much. During the course of you guys, basically having your dinner, and Thom brings out some respectably old and high quality wine, and he asks if you've heard the story of how the guild came to be, basically, where the whole Soulstones came from. And getting a resounding "not really" from everybody, he offers to perform it.
Yeah,
So
do tell.
I've got some poetry here. He says he's not sure if he can do it justice, but he doesn't want to perform the whole 4-hour version for you, so he's going to cut it down considerably.
Sit right back and we'll tell you a tale. Tale of a fateful trip. I was reading an interesting article on Star Trek earlier today, that a lot of the signs that are on the old Star Trek, like the original Star Trek, they're all written in gibberish because the prop manager at the time didn't think that anybody would be able to read what was written in, the filming from the 1960s and early 70s. And now everybody can read it. So one of the things he has out there is like the Gilligan's Island theme song and a couple of other things.
So this is almost like Grendel. It's like an epic, mythic poem that they just keep and retell.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like, hey, Shaky Jake, thanks for dropping in. It's kind of like the it's a little bit like the Lay of Beowulf or the Iliad. It's
right. That's what I was thinking.
The epic
Beowulf.
poem that all the bards know, at least human bards, and it has lots and lots of verses. There's a lot more of this. Like, there's parts in here in there where it talks about the founding of Polis and the original 10 families and how they all picked their little niche and which islands they all built their houses on and the name of the patrician that founded the family and all of his sons and daughters. It's long.
So the Adventurers Guild members are the heroes brought to life from the tears of the moon.
Yep. That's what the mythology is. This is basically kind of the founding, where the people came from and how they ended up here and how this all came to be type of.
Right, but that still gives you a they're not just kind of random adventurers. That clearly gives you a sense that they have a protective role.
Yes. Yes, they have a very important, critical role in keeping society functioning.
And one would hope some sense and aspiration to nobility, not in the cultural sense of the word, but in terms of integrity and righteousness and et cetera, et cetera.
Chivalry.
Chivalry,
like a code,
there you
like
go.
Bushido or chivalry or something like that.
Right. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they probably have. How long has the Adventurers Guild been around? Does anybody know?
History check.
Yeah, I can't do a history check, but it sounds like if they've got this myth going back to the moon, it's got to be. Who can do a history check? Well, I can do a. There you go.
Can't.
Does that tell us how long the Adventurers Guild has been around?
Polis, the city, is considered to be the oldest habitation of humans. It's a little bit harder to say if the dwarves and elves and the Orca societies predated humans, but they're all pretty close. But the founding of Polis is dated to 995 years ago. Formally, that's the official date. The guild was founded roughly 100 years after that.
Okay, so centuries?
Yeah, it's been almost exactly 1,000 years since basically humans first landed here, approximately.
So I would expect there to be tons of guild traditions that we should learn at some point. It's 7:18 p.m. here on the West Coast. I think as a party, we should trundle off to bed, making sure the chest is well guarded, and prepare for setting out for the shrine
Unless
on the
you guys
morrow.
basically have a whole tower to yourselves so you can bolt the doors and everything. Most
Okay.
of this fortress is just full of dust and junk. It is not anywhere near capacity, and but his guards mostly like sleep here in the guardhouse or
Sweet.
here in the more palatial quarters.
And then our next session is going to be Thursday, the 7th of January, 2021, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
So everybody, Happy New Year. Since we'll see you next week.
Okay.
All
Jenny,
right.
thanks so much for running. That was cool.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed it.
See you all next week.
Okay, y'all have a good one.
Not everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And I successfully escaped without going into this stuff that I haven't prepped yet. Woo! Always success as a DM. And I got some use out of that poem that I jotted down in a frenzy exactly 3 hours ago. I was typing it while they were chatting at the beginning of this session. All right. Well, thank you very much if you stopped in to join us. I really appreciate it. And I will catch you all later.